Moving it back to football, and this is a fantastic statement. I mean, look, it's got nothing to do with anything like what we've been talking about, which is great. Look at this. Look at this. Talk about big statements. Talk about huge statements. I'm sure you probably saw my Twitter last night at Mark Goldbridge. If you're not, why aren't you following me? But this was Rasmus Hojlund after the get. Hojlund, not D. There's no N on a D on the end. This was Rasmus Hojlund yesterday. Rasmus. Yeah, just incredible. Absolutely incredible. So Denmark qualified for the Euros last night with a 1-0 win. He didn't actually win. He didn't actually score, but he's been a big part of it. Fans are celebrating. Players go over to the corner where they're celebrating. Hojlund picks up a tannoy and says, "I heard you all, and your passion is everything in football. We're going to the fucking Euros. Fucking come on." And that's from Rasmus Hojlund. And I just, you know what? I think a lot of United fans are going to learn about him. Savage says, what a beast. I think a lot of United fans are going to learn about this player. Of course they are. And, it's great. But I think that what you've got there is an absolute beast of a player with an amazing mentality that holds no fear and embraces and enjoys his job. And we need, I remember Paul Robinson, one of our moderators, he said, I've not seen Paul for a long time actually, I hope you're doing well, Paul. He said that basically when we buy players, it normally takes a year or two for us to destroy what we bought. They become infected by the club. They become players that let their heads drop. They become inconsistent. They become weighed down by this football club. And we've got to be really, really, really protective of Rasmus because we can't destroy that. That's that sort of passion and hunger and desire and joy to play football and aggression. I mean, we've only seen him play for half an hour against Arsenal. He wasn't bothered, and look, they're still very raw as a player. There's still a lot to learn. But I think about Wayne Rooney when he burst on the scene at Everton and Man United, just played with no fear and aggression. And it's not everybody has that. Not everybody has that. So, look, it might only be a statement, but there ain't many players in the world who grab a tannoy and start shouting at the fans to, get them going. And I think that, you know what my thoughts are. I think he's going to be an absolute superstar anyway. But I think already we've bought in the right player, and you can see why Erik ten Hag wanted this type of player, this young player that he can develop. But also, there's a certain profile. You talk about personalities, and we've been talking about personalities recently about United not doing background checks on players' personalities, and then it bites us on their arse. They're not ambitious. Maybe they're a bit lazy. Maybe they're troublemakers. Who knows? We've had plenty, and I'm not talking about. People will be saying, "Oh, you're talking about Sancho." I'm not talking about Sancho. I'm talking about Di Maria. I'm talking about Pogba to a certain extent, Harry Maguire. There's loads of players that we've bought for big money that ultimately aren't Man United players. And I think with Hojlund, and we had it with Bruno as well. But then some would say, is Bruno the player we bought? Has he become weighed down by United a little bit? Maybe right. And that's why we need to be careful. We've got to build with these types of players. We've got to build. This sort of mentality should be the norm throughout the team. The fact that I'm championing it on a Monday morning because a Man United player playing for his country has grabbed a tannoy and given a passionate speech and clearly loves football. Every player should have that at Man United. I mean, when I was watching United, probably a lot of your age as a teenager, you had Roy Keane, Steve Bruce, Peter Schmeichel, Paul Ince, Mark Hughes, Eric Cantona, and plenty of others. You had the young lads coming through as well. And that was it. United were a very, very good side, but there used to be a team called Wimbledon who used to play in the Premier League who were just, no one liked playing them. They were rough. And especially at Selhurst Park where they played their home games, they were rough. But United could go and rough it up with them. Even though we were better at football than them, we would rough it up with them. And I think United need to get that back. It's not just about playing good football. I think about Sir Alex football under Sir Alex when we used to play Arsenal. I think if we sometimes played Wenger's Arsenal, just played football, they'd beat us. But we used to go and rough them up a bit as well. You put Phil Neville in centre midfield and get him to clatter a few people. we've always been that. We can play football, but we can mix it up a little bit as well. And we've lost that. We've lost that identity. We've lost that aggression. We've lost that passion. We've lost that, joy of wearing a Man United shirt. And I think when I see statements like that, I get very excited because I think, you know what, this is a young lad that could be at the club for the next few years. And we need to recapture that. And that's true. There'll be people watching this show going, Mark's right. I remember when we used to play Arsenal and, you didn't want to accept it. But deep down, you knew if you went toe-to-toe with Arsenal, we were a very good footballing side. But there was times where that Wenger Arsenal side, you'd think, if we go toe-to-toe, they probably will beat us. But you start, getting a few tackles in on them here and there and, make it about that. And United do need to do that. So, look, I think that's the big positive of the news show today is that, few words from Rasmus, because having a strike, and look, let's hope there's no more injuries, but having a striker like that fit, who's just so hungry to impress and play football, it's a huge, huge thing. And, look, I like Rashford, I like Bruno, I like Casemiro, I like Martinez, I like Luke Shaw, but there are games sometimes when those players just, you can see the drop off, you can see the heads drop. So we need to inspire that back. Palestri should be picked, and I hope he smashes it more than Ante. So we talk football and him being better than him, hopefully, says Simp. My striker, says Rashik. Thank you very much for everyone who's watching this morning. Awang says, Hojlund is a beast. We are going to enjoy his game and the great personality. And living in the past, FC, says Phil B. But you have to learn from the past. I mean, we are... Phil, it's Monday morning. Is there no part of you that wakes up and say it's a new week? Let's try and be a little bit positive. Of course we're living in the fucking past. We're living in the... we are living in the past. We're UK Gold. We're the History Channel. We are living in the past because it's the only recent success we've got. So what do you do if, you have to look at the past and go, what were the ingredients of that? And there was a profile of player. There was a profile of personality. We are going to continue to live in the past, Phil. Apologies for that. We are going to continue to live in the past until we get a new ownership profile. Of course that's going to happen. Nobody is stupid enough to think that we are capable of winning anything under this current regime. Significant, but you can still start to build towards that. And I think that's what it's all about. I think that United have to, we can't just sit back and be defensive. We've got to try and go on the front foot, haven't we? Hojlund is the future, says Tyler as well. Look, and things can turn around very, very quickly. Of course they can. We could be in a situation in 2 months' time where we've got new ownership, and things will change very, very quickly. Look at what Newcastle did in the space of 18 months, was it? Less than that. They were in a relegation zone, and then they were in the Champions League. Things can change really, really quickly, but they need to change quickly. Kartik, things can change really quickly, but they need to change quickly. They need to change fast. Kartik says, top player mentality, a beast of a player. I see our next future captain in Hojlund, and I'm not going to speak too soon. Look, well, you just spoke too soon. Look, in no way am I saying that Rasmus Hojlund compares to Erling Haaland in relation to football. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a player here that's got a strong mentality that encompasses what we're about. And every now and then, United bring a player in that just really resonates with the fans. And I think Rasmus is going to do that. I think Martinez did it last year. Casemiro does it. There's just a certain profile of player that really connects with the fans. And Herrera was very good at it as well. It doesn't necessarily mean you're the best player in the team. Does Rashford connect with the fans the same way that Martinez and Hojlund does already? No, it's a personality trait. There's nothing wrong with that from Rashford. Bruno doesn't connect the same as Martinez does, even though Bruno contributes more. There's just certain personality connects that really grab the fan base. It doesn't always mean that you're the best player, I'll admit that. Passion merchant sucks, says Delaney. Well, I think that's a good point, because Scott McTominay is a passion merchant, and no, he doesn't really connect with the fan base because he doesn't have the ability. Passion without... It's like talent without hard work, isn't it? You can have all the talent in the world, but if you're not hard working, you'll waste your talent. And you can be as hard working as you want, but if you don't have the talent, you'll be a waste of time as well. It's a well-known story, as many of us will know.